everybody out there. But before I get to that, I got to give you a little hate before I give you the love.
What?
If you are not, you even have a NASA sticker on your laptop. There's no excuse here. If you've been paying attention to meme culture or the internet, you would know that there's a gravitational phenomenon going on where you can take a broom.
Gravity's a phenomenon?
And you can gravitational pull, where you can take the broom and you can stand up and it'll stand up on its own. And Harrison out there, he lovingly had this in the hallway after we cleaned up and swept. And then you, like Mr. Magoo, came by and you're just like, oh, look, a broom.
Yeah.
You didn't there's no sort of unnatural phenomenon going on there.
I didn't know it was an art exhibit. I was just trying to do a little work and get it out of the way. I'm sorry to the NASA meme culture.
All right, well.
So happy Valentine's Day.
Well, thank you for happy Valentine's Day, honey, and kids at home. Sebastian, Ronan, love you guys.
And my throat is a little scratchy right now. I was cheering for the Wood Brothers last night at the Walker Theater with my wife, and everywhere we went, restaurants were crowded and busy, and you couldn't hardly find a burger. And it was just noisy everywhere. But so I'm here, glad to be here, spreading the love with you to our audience.
And we apologize for that no sound at the opening. I think Harrison may have been distracted trying to fix the broom, and in that interim, he forgot to connect the audio output of this. But
wow,
I think we're good now. I think we are all set. So Valentine's Day, you get the wife chocolates, cards, all that kind of stuff.
No, I don't do that, but we get it for the kids. It's all about the kids, Dooner.
You ever buy flowers from like a roadside guy selling them?
I have not.
Oh.
No. Would that be supporting the little guy?
I don't know. In California, it's really big. That, and they would sell oranges and all that stuff. But you know what we got to do? We got to show some love to our sponsors and all of our listeners out there for tuning in.
Yes.
This episode is brought to you by Redwood Logistics, a leading logistics platform company whose diverse solutions portfolio includes digital freight brokerage, flexible freight management, and innovative platform services that simplify the integration of disparate supply chain technology. Redwood connects its diverse roster of customers to the power of supply chain management, technology, and the industry's brightest minds. For more information, connect with us at Tell 'em Chad.
RedwoodLogistics.com.
Yeah. Well, not good news. A lot of times we don't lead with the best news. This one is Northern California-based union carrier to cease operations after a good run. 48 years in existence, longer than we've both been alive. Roughly 130 unionized drivers for Rogers Trucking Company of Celadon, Laredo, California, will be looking for new jobs after the company announced it will cease operations after those 48 years in existence. Rogers Trucking, which hauls dry freight, including wine and spirit beverages and food ingredients, filed a WARN Act. The notice with the state in late January. The notice stated the carrier, founded in 1972, would shutter operations by April 30th.
Oh, yes. Alan Osofsky, safety and compliance manager of Rogers Trucking, told FreightWaves on Thursday that the high cost of doing business in California, as well as the financial challenges of being a union carrier vying for loads against low-cost non-union companies, was difficult. Smaller freight companies are having to contend with higher costs of new regulations and potential increases in insurance costs for this year, he told FreightWaves.
This is the second carrier this week, so don't get it confused with Howard Bayer Transportation.
Right.
They ceased operations after another long run, 69 years of operations in both cases. The trucking company owners, they've both decided to shut down and retire, too. They're not like selling and passing it on, and they both kind of blame the regulatory environment, right? It's another California tough place to operate these days.
It is. And speaking of tough conditions, bankrupt Celadon accuses recovery company of illegally seizing equipment. That's right. A North Carolina towing and repossession company is accused of holding equipment belonging to bankrupt Celadon Truck Group for ransom.
Wow.
The complaint alleges that Triangle Recovery Services of Raleigh, North Carolina, falsely advertised itself as a surrender site for equipment belonging to Celadon and also hired other entities to recover equipment belonging to Celadon.
You know, I saw their ad on a Facebook group a couple weeks ago, and I shared it with Emily, and she was like, "Oh, I want to call them up," but we thought it was a scam. it looked like a scam. It looked pretty sketchball, and it turns out, lo and behold, it was.
But
the Facebook group itself thought it seemed like a big scam too, or that even getting involved with something like that would get you into some trouble. But do you remember the Mel Gibson?
Seems to have done just that.
Do you remember the Mel Gibson movie from the 90s, Ransom?
No, didn't see it.
Oh, give me back my son! That was that one. Oh, just scared Phil walking through the hallway. All right, well, federal bankruptcy judge Karen Owens granted Celadon's attorney's motion for temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction against Triangle on February 12th. Celadon attorneys filed a complaint in U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the District of Delaware on February 6th, claiming that Triangle currently possesses over 50 trucks and trailers that are belonging to Celadon. Once Triangle has possession of the equipment, it holds the vehicle for ransom until Celadon pays the recover company's fees, according to these court documents. So that's a strange racket,
It
though.
is strange.
You still bankrupt people's stuff. How do you expect to get it back?
And Triangle has since removed these advertisements offering cash rewards for the locations of abandoned Celadon equipment from its website, but the assets have not been returned, according to the complaint. After news broke in December that the Indianapolis-based company was ceasing operations immediately, some former drivers abandoned Celadon's equipment across the U.S., as we covered. Enjoying George Stevenson, Triangle's general manager, told FreightWaves on Wednesday that his attorney has advised him not to comment on the lawsuit. Court documents state Celadon also geofenced 3 trucks in Triangle's possession, which it alleges the repo company is using to pick up Celadon trailers scattered across the mid-Atlantic region. What do you think about all that?
Well, I think don't get involved with shady fly-by-night companies that advertise with, bad graphics on Facebook groups. Here's a quick one we have to get to before we call out to Brandon Bay. Wayfair, this touches my turf. Wayfair layoffs 350 workers in Boston. 550 globally. The e-commerce furniture company and home goods company, which employs over 6,000. So it's not a huge hit to them, but pretty substantial. And it's one of those things where they had been in heavy growth mode, hiring. And then like in 2020, the belt has started tightening the Reddit group for Boston on there. A lot of people are talking about how they were shocked. They came into work. They had no indication. Managers said nobody told them. And then they were just given that box and told to get out of there. Wayfair spokesperson Susan Freschetti says the company continually looks to increase efficiencies while aligning our teams and the initiatives that drive the greatest impact for our customers. As part of the process, we made some organizational changes that affect approximately 3% of our global workforce. We are continuing to hire for the many roles needed to drive our long-term success and continued growth of the business.
One thing that's curious is their website still lists hundreds of job openings. But according to the Globe, an IT team in the company's Berlin offices, they were laid off Tuesday. Then employees reportedly received a message on Slack around 2 a.m. Thursday that certain internal systems were being locked so that web developers could not deploy code or make significant data changes. Did you know that Wayfair has been around for 18 years?
Yeah, it's a lot longer than you would think, right? But it was in 2016 where they really started to ratchet up this growth. But we're coming into that point and we hit the freight tech community too. We've reported on plenty of layoffs there. Well, Wayfair is not immune to it either. Boston.com reported that Daniel McCarthy, a marketing professor at Emory University, he suggested that the company's aggressive hiring could be a factor. Last fall, he noted that the company's hiring rate was outpacing its sales, always a problem. He said it's not just the headcount growth, it's higher than sales growth. It's the gap between them is widening, with the former accelerating while the latter is decelerating.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, know who we get a call out to? Brandon Bay. We're a little bit behind, too. For 5 good minutes.
5 good minutes.
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for joining us on the air.
Hey, no, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Chad, did you know that Brandon Bay of Traffix, he is a Missouri State Bear? And I have to ask, what do you think about them hiring Bobby Petrino?
I think it's a great move for wins. I think that given his history personally, that it might not be the best PR move, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's all about wins, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he's the guy who left, the Atlanta Falcons high and dry?
Yeah.
Just a quick note in the lockers.
Yeah.
Yep. And then he wrecked his motorcycle with his girlfriend down there in Fayetteville, Arkansas, too.
That's one of those things you don't think of when you're having an affair. You're just, it's like, oh, you think if you put the helmet on, nice ride, but you don't expect to get in the accident. Speaking of education, you do the Nashville Transportation Club, right? What is this education series that you guys are doing that's coming up when March 26th, right? And our own president, George Abernathy, is going to be speaking at it.
Right. No, so, we're very excited about this opportunity. And, throughout the year, we're doing 4 parts of our education series. And what that entails is having speaking events, doing tours through the Nashville area, and just getting people involved in different industries, or maybe people that haven't been to a speaking event and learning, and just trying to grow our network in Nashville and build relationships. And it's been a really cool experience so far.
Yeah, so George is going to be there speaking. What would you like to hear from him?
I think the most exciting thing is just, an industry leader coming, giving us his time, talking about the state of the market. Obviously, Sonar, there's some cool products, obviously, with FreightWaves, and just to be surrounded by great people.
Hey, Christine Fleming, she says, oh my God, I used to work with Brandon Bay. Crazy. Congratulations. What a reunion through the comments on the live stream of this show.
Well,
oh, nice. I think I'm lagging a little bit. I can't see the live comments, but hey, Miss Fleming, how are you?
Yeah, so you're down there in that Nashville market, right? You're close to us, but you're in a completely different time zone. You're in Central. We're out there for Air Cargo 2020. Lovely place. Chad got a cowboy hat at the Country Music Hall of Fame. What are people
going to get some boots, too.
So this is down at, where is this? What venue is this taking place at?
Yep, so it's taking place. It's called Cabana of Nashville. It's kind of right in the heart. I wouldn't say the heart of the city, a little bit south, but it's got some good hotels. It's a really neat venue. If the weather's nice, we're gonna have garage door. The garage door's open. It's just a really unique atmosphere that we were very fortunate to be able to lock down for the event.
Yeah, what's the Brandon? What's the freight market like in Nashville?
Nashville is very unique in its own way. There are a lot of frozen opportunities. There's a lot of shippers here that have LTL, that multiple picks, multiple drops. I would say that the Nashville market is very, very, very similar to California. You never know when it's going to flip. You never know what it's going to be. But Nashville is one of my favorite markets, and that's one of the reasons that I chose to move here.
Wow. So is it a difficult operating environment like California's is? Is that part of the comparison?
No, I would say just the capacity, and just because of the amount of freight that does come out of Nashville, it's kind of a hidden gem in my opinion. You've got a lot of industry here, a lot of food shippers. And capacity can be very tough at times.
Hey, Cody Lanham, he also says Nashville Transportation Club. Whoop! Good stuff.
Yeah. So Cody supported us. He's part of Rumor Riot, which is actually kind of helping redo some of our website stuff. So Cody's been a big supporter of us since we started this thing, and I'm glad you tuned in, Cody.
Yeah, nice. He'll get that message in just a minute. So how do people go and get tickets to this? I think it's $35 per ticket. How do people go reach out, learn more about Traffix?
Right. So actually, we set it up on our website when this call started to, if you go to our webpage and go to the events, it's going to kind of give a rundown. We're not going to have anybody register until March 2nd. That'll go live. There is limited tickets that are going to be sold. So we wanted to make sure that we have everything in place before that happens. $35 a ticket. You're going to get a full meal. Obviously get to hear George speak. I know that they talked about bringing the Sonar reps and just, educating all the attendees on FreightWaves, the technology, and, just go to our website and all the information will be there.
All right, go to the website. It's going to be limited availability. March 2nd, they go on sale, but and the event is March 26th.
Wow, awesome stuff. Hey, and Luke Davis says, great to see you, Brandon, representing Nashville. He said he's proud of you, bud.
Yeah, Luke Davis is a good connection of mine, and he supported us as well. And Luke, I'm glad you're listening.
Well, Brandon, thanks for calling in and getting the word out there. It sounds like a great event, and we're very close, so we might have to go along and see how our Sonar sales reps do talking about data at the speed of light. Thank you.
Hey, I would love for you guys to come down and check it out live. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks, Brandon.
Man. Take it easy. Well, nice to hear from Brandon. A lot going on over that way. If Kevin Hill's out there, they can send him Red Rover, send Kevin Hill right over.
Yeah, and right on you. Look at that.
So I guess he's an expert in reefer and multi-stop freight, according to Christine Fleming.
Oh.
By the way, Miss Diva Trucker said, no one hears you. Get your sound right before broadcast. Yes, we apologize for that, Miss Diva Trucker. I hope you can hear us
right.
now. Yes.
I think right at the beginning.
Yeah, a little issue, but we're better. Boom,
wow, I'm all charged up.
Is my mic on?
You are.
Oh, it is on now.
There you go.
Very good.
I didn't know if you were going to say something stupid when you walked in. No,
I know.
I had you on mute. Yeah. So you were here to talk about the pricing power index. First, what is up with the pricing power index? It's been a little, it's in the doldrums of the freight year, right?
Like a deer in the headlights right now.
It is in the doldrums. The DHL Supply Chain Pricing Power Index.
Mm-hmm.
It's at 25 again this week. Unchanged. The market is just kind of not very volatile whatsoever. Volume levels are pretty flat over this time last year. Capacity's loosened up again. And it's just this January, February, first quarter blues mostly.
Yeah. Well, you did have some information. You said there was one big piece of news here. What was it? That Derek Leathers, Werner CEO, the optimistic tone at the Stifel Nicholas Transportation Conference. What went down over there in Miami?
So basically, it's where all the public and larger private carriers come in, brokerage firms as well, and they kind of give analyst presentations. And everyone's calling for a back half recovery in 2020. So the second half of the year, everyone thinks the capacity issues will be solved, freight volumes be enough to change the market and get basically a more balanced market going into the back half of 2020. But you hear that all the time. Trucking companies, in the bad times, it's always back half recovery. When times are going good, it's always a new normal. We are in a new normal that will last generations.
That's what we talked about pretty much all of 2018.
Derek Leathers, CEO, president of Werner, who's also going to be a speaker at FreightWaves Live Atlanta.
Yeah,
but you know what you can do?
Industry keynotes.
Hey,
he's very good.
Listen to me here. If you get a passport, right? If you get a passport, put in the promo code DOONER. Right?
Oh, did you finally get your promo code?
I did finally get my promo code. So you put in the promo code DOONER, and maybe you can, I don't know, maybe I'll have a raffle to have someone a chance to be on What the Truck at one of our live events, right?
Yeah.
Put your name in there. Send me the receipt. We'll see if we can get you on stage. I don't know if I can announce that. There might be sweepstakes laws or something, but we'll put something in place. But either way, if you get passport, it's awesome. Put in the code word. Not code word. I don't know. Promo code DOONER. You'll be set. Passport's that comprehensive research suite that we have, where you get all this great data that you and your team does with JP. Plus, you get 2 tickets to FreightWaves live events, which is a $2,500 value each. Amazing stuff.
It is amazing. We publish about 15 to 20 research reports a month.
Yes.
So that's just almost once a day. Once a day, you're going to get the most in-depth, best research on any part of the freight market you can imagine.
Like what? What are you researching now, or what was the last report you released?
So basically on the passport side, you always get trucking, intermodal, ocean. On our side, we did an update of earnings for the big public brokerages to put in Q4 earnings and see where we are in the cycle. So trucking is very cyclical. So yeah, where are we in the cycle? How are gross margins doing? How is top line revenue? Those type of things. So
you're trying to ask questions that you're actually curious about, and then you learn through the research, which is authentic research, right?
It is authentic research, yes.
Like you don't have pre-established conclusions.
No. It's basically almost everything we do. We don't know the answer, and we're searching for the answer. So we just start researching things and putting together the data.
What was a surprising thing that you recently learned through some of your research? on one of the questions you guys were exploring.
Yeah, so basically we published maybe last week or the week before detention, and just kind of how much of a problem. We all know it's a problem, but just being able to quantify the issues, and I think the average dwell time for trucks is just over 3 hours.
Yeah. Emily Zink said she enjoyed the coronavirus one.
The coronavirus, yes, the coronavirus one that's available on FreightWaves.com.
Yes,
right now is very good. It's stats and data from import volumes and how coronavirus is affecting the Chinese ports and manufacturing. We also did on our podcast, Great Quarter Guys.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about our other podcast. I was going to say I enjoyed doing that with you first. But so it wasn't Great Quarter Guys.
We had a CNBC commentator, Lorianne.
Oh, she was on our show on Monday, right?
Yeah.
Was it Monday or Friday? I don't know. It was one of them.
You stole our guest.
No, she was on us first. He gave us the guest.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
He let us take her first.
Oh, well, that was so gentlemanly of you.
I know, right?
And here I was getting turfy.
But she had some really good non-government data coming out of China about capacity of the ports, and they're running, maybe 15, 20%, maybe even less on average capacity coming out. There's blank sailings, which are ordered ocean shipments. So those goods that should be coming in on the West Coast especially are going to be delayed. We're probably going to get bottlenecks in April and May and June at the height of produce season as well. So there's going to be some real opportunities for the DHL Supply Chain Pricing Power Index to do a 10 or 15-point move up.
Is that part of the bullish outlook that we're seeing in the second half? Things are going to build up, and then there's going to be a rush?
Yeah, a rush like a critical event, which is the coronavirus. So right now it's going to be slow at the ports, but at some point, whenever that clears up and everything that's on pallets right now starts moving.
A lot of people are saying April. They're forecasting April, a sort of, I don't want to say an artificial peak season, but a peak season that's created by the movement of goods, because they're all just starting to back up as factories shut down and ports shut down, and space just starts to get at a premium. That's the natural order of things.
You have all those holiday orders coming in April, May to get delivered, and there's going to be a lot of jockeying to get into the front of the line for manufacturing slots in China.
2 p.m. Tuesdays. Look up Great Quarter Guys on your favorite podcast player of choice. Subscribe to Freightcast. Get every single FreightWaves podcast. Speaking of podcasts. Yeah, dude.
I got friends only want to talk business. I got expensive because winning's expensive. I got expensive because winning's expensive. I've been getting all the
This is Chad rapping.
And I've been shutting down
Yeah.
That's some real bling you're wearing.
That is. It used to be on a show. I think I am the Grandmaster Champion of Off the Supply Chain, right?
I think you won 3 times. We didn't actually have a playoff. But...
I think 3.5 times, right? There's the super secret unaired episode of that show. Yes.
Maybe
that we reference quite often, but have never played. Maybe we'll put that on the secret YouTube channel or something. We'll do it like Cicada. What was that? Cicada 9090 or what was that thing?
Something like that.
Yeah. All right. So put that coffee down. What do we talk about this week?
What do we talk about this week or next week?
Well, this week first.
What did you tease?
Filling the funnel.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's all about filling the funnel. It's the great equalizer in sales. If you have a full funnel, you don't have to be the master of any of the other processes. You don't have to be the best presenter. You don't have to be the best closer. As long as you have a full funnel, you'll do well.
Yeah.
If you don't, you can be the master of everything else. But, you can't close who you don't have to close.
You can't close what you don't know. Chad, know what's really cool, though? So Emily Ricks over here, she does our infographics. And one of the daily infographics we put out, and I think Thursdays it looks like it's coming out. Wednesdays or Thursdays, it'll be out. It'll take all of the data. So around Monday, we send out a survey to our audience and to Kevin's mailing list and our own mailing list about whatever the topic's going to be. There's about 5 questions on there. You can see the results when you take the survey, but then we take it all, we make it look nice, we put it in an infographic, we break it down on the show. So it's really a lot about the audience feedback that makes the show, and we've gotten a lot of it. So that is Wednesdays at 1 p.m., right?
Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Put that coffee down. This week we're going to talk about cold calling.
Cold calling, man. That's a lot. It's a psychological war as much as it is anything.
It is, and the survey is going to be about the psychological war.
Yeah.
About how you get pumped up to do cold calls. What is your greatest anxiety about doing cold calls? What are your best deals from cold calls?
Hey, and the first time you do it, it's like when you're 14 or like when you're in junior high, you want to call that girl for the first time, and you're just when you're that feeling when you're like,
Yeah.
You get the nervous stomach, and you don't know what to say.
Yeah, a lot of cold calls like
so
that.
Do you drink coffee before doing that, or does it give you anxiety? Do you drink the coffee to get pumped up?
I drink coffee no matter what. So, but yeah, I drink coffee to get pumped up. You have to listen to maybe some AC/DC, or Guns N' Roses.
You just set me
whatever.
up. You just set me up. Speaking of both AC/DC and Guns N' Roses, our next guest, you're going to see him in the rock chair, the throne that Axl had to sit on when he broke his foot at the beginning of the Not in This Lifetime tour in 2016. It's exciting stuff. We are running out of time. This is a guest I have to dial out to. Sure. But if you want to hear more from Kevin, he'll be on radio on SiriusXM's Roadog Tracking, co-hosting with me 3 to 5 p.m. Saturday. That's Roadog Tracking, channel 146. The phone lines will be open. I'll show 8888 Roadog. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Awesome stuff,
All right, man. Let's dial out to Brian McNelis. Now, this guy is the person on who gave me my first real job in this business. And can you read a little of his accolades?
We're contacting him because of the story that broke just this past week. Apollo Masters, which is a manufacturing plant, it supplies the lacquer used for making master discs of vinyl, used in making vinyl records. It suffered a fire on Thursday.
Hey,
and in California.
All right, I think he's on the line. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
Hey, Brian.
What's going on there, man? I had a little California intro theme music for you going on.
Well, thank you very much.
I was just telling my co-host here that I was your intern at one point in my life, and then also you hired me at my first real job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Cleopatra Records.
He's at a loss for words.
Yeah.
So Brian, we're responding to this disturbing story about the fire at the manufacturing plant that happened on February 6th. And from my understanding is that there is probably going to be a supply chain kind of backstream effect on what's going to be able to happen with vinyl. I mean, it's that catastrophic. There's only 2 places that manufacture this kind of lacquer.
Well, I don't know that that's exactly true. I think that there's 2 places that are dedicated to this particular part of the process at that scale. And, when you've got, only 2 places that are operating at that scale in that particular part of the supply chain, then one of them goes down, inevitably you're going to have, rerouting is going to take place, right? And I'm still waiting to hear back from our various business partners. We use a very robust network of partners for vinyl globally, including people that are involved in the different stages of vinyl production throughout the process, but also globally. So we're not really sure. I mean, I would be very surprised if it had no impact on us. I'm sure that it will, as it will many other people. But I think that the way that our business in particular is routed at the moment, we can cover some of this through some of the plants that we use actually cut their own lacquers in-house. And so, but there is a limited capacity. There is, any of the plants that cut lacquers in-house, there's a couple of issues. One is, it's not their primary business. It's a limited capacity type business, and they're probably pressing a lot of records that they're getting lacquers from third parties on. Also, the lacquers are the first step in the process, and then after that they go to different companies for plating. So there's a plating company in New Jersey called Mastercraft, which is one of a number of companies that actually do the plating that create the stampers for the machines to actually press the vinyl. So the lacquer is like kind of the first process of, taking the music and turning it into a physical product, right? It's the first kind of step in the process of converting it to this physical medium, from which the downstream other components of the pressing is going to be manufactured for the pressing plant. So we don't really know. I mean, there's been a lot of panic. I would have thought that by now I would have gotten emails from one or more of our various partners saying, hey, we're sure that you read the news and here's what it means for you. But that hasn't happened yet. We haven't gotten those emails from partners going like, hey, everybody panic. Your timelines are doubling from 12 weeks to, 6 months.
Hey,
so we're riding it out.
Hey, Brian, vinyl has, you rode through a very interesting time in the music industry. You've survived, like the Napster came about, and when CDs were at their peak in 1999, the entire way music was delivered and distributed changed. But in the past few years, vinyl's made an incredible comeback from about 9 million in sales in 2006 to about 17 million in the past year. How has that growth happened, and has that helped the record labels make a little bit more money and artists as well?
The numbers, look, when you look at the numbers, when you go from like 9 to 17 and the business nearly doubles, you go like, wow, that's a lot of business. The problem is that a lot of that business is happening on low volume records. And, there's not a lot of money in vinyl at low volume. You have to get kind of north of 3,000 units to break even. And really to make any significant money on vinyl, you probably want to be 7,000 to 10,000 units per title because of the fixed cost in, both printing and manufacturing and everything else, right? So even though the aggregate numbers are up, it's not really generating a lot of net revenue. There's a lot of gross revenue there. I think that the pressing plants are probably making more money than anybody else is. Legitimately, I think that, if you owned a pressing plant, you're probably literally making more money per unit than anybody else in the supply chain. You're making more than the artist. You're making more than the record label. You're making I think that probably the retailers and the pressing plants are making the most money, right? Because the retailers are still getting their margin and they've already got their fixed costs for running a business. And the plants, it's the primary business. But I think everybody between the pressing plant and the retailers, it's pretty much a wash at best, and in some cases a loss. If you've got a record that's doing significant volume, 10,000 units or more, there's money there. But if you eliminated everything else and said, we're just going to make money from vinyl, that's probably a very very specialized business.
Yeah.
And there are there's a number of boutique vinyl houses that only their whole business is vinyl. But you have to keep in mind that with those businesses, the majority of their sales is direct to consumer, right? So we already know that, one of the only two profit centers for vinyl is on the retail side, right? So if you're a boutique vinyl house and you're specializing in only doing vinyl, you more or less have to have a direct to consumer component. Otherwise, you're not getting your margin from anywhere. So if you look at like Mondo, Waxwork, Enjoy the Ride. Nevada's not a vinyl-only label, but they do a substantial amount of vinyl as a primary business. If you look at any of these businesses, the D2C component is a very large part of that.
That is fascinating in and of itself. That makes a lot of sense, man. We could deep dive into that. I think I'm going to ask you a broad question here, though, as we're running out of time. Like, I obviously Napster, iTunes, you've seen some changes, as Dooner was alluding to. Like, how has Spotify and these streaming services and all this, how has it disrupted your industry, and how have you made changes to adapt?
Well, it's not Spotify that disrupted the industry. It was Napster.
Okay.
Everything is still recovering from Napster. When you lose the ability to withhold your product, then you lose the ability to set fair market pricing, right?
Right.
So, when you no longer have the ability to withhold your goods or services to negotiate a fair market price, then inevitably the price reduces to zero. And so, the true disruption is the entire record industry, the record, not the music industry. The music industry extends to live concerts and merchandise and all that other kind of stuff. But the record industry, which is the sale of recorded music, has existed now for nearly 20 years off the good faith of people who choose to pay for music in one form or another, because there is virtually no requirement to pay for recorded music. There's no requirement to pay for it, and if you steal it or find other means of getting it, there's also no consequences. So the entire record industry, which, I mean, if you look at it glass half full, and you look at it and say, well, here's an entire industry that currently exists that has no business model, right? Because you can get its product for free without consequence.
Right.
But people still choose to pay for it, right? So, if you're looking at it glass half full, that says something about, human nature, that just because anybody could get it for free, not everybody does.
Yeah.
Wow.
Amazing stuff, Brian. There's been a lot of consolidation in music. We're kind of seeing that in our business too, with digital brokerages and everything coming out. Lakeshore Records, Lakeshore Pictures, you guys have been survivors, and you've done it by putting out some great records like Stranger Things, Drive, Moonlight, BoJack Horseman, all kinds of things like that. People who want to look into the records and what you guys offer, how do they look into that, Brian? Where do they go?
Well, Spotify.
Yeah. Oh man, that's the punchline to all this, isn't it? Right? Because no matter what you do, you still kind of have to be there, just like you had to be in iTunes when that came out, regardless if you wanted to be or not.
Yeah, it's Spotify, it's iTunes. 90 some odd % of overall revenues are from digital. Spotify and Apple Music are the top two by market share. DSPs for digital revenues. We're picking up bits and pieces through other parts. Vinyl contributes a little, CDs contribute less. There's things like Content ID on YouTube where we're able to tag and monetize user-pirated content. But I mean, really, in broad strokes, the industry right now is supported from streaming, and the top two players are Spotify and Apple Music.
Yeah, same with podcasts, man. Spotify's making a lot of inroads. They're getting exclusives on podcasts. It's really interesting to see how that will change, too, as they look into more forms of digital content. Brian, we really appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Take it easy. Wow, yeah.
Wow, that is fascinating stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, there's two major lacquer houses, the one in Japan, that one in California.
You would think there would be more.
I mean, there's one in Toronto that said, well, yeah, this is going to be majorly disruptive. I think they want to say that they're going to step up and everything. Brian McNelis, by the way, is Senior Vice President of Music and Soundtracks over there at Lakeshore Entertainment and Lakeshore Records. Really appreciate his time. And yeah, like I said, back in the day, back in California, I went out there for my first time. I did an internship, decided to transfer to school, went to college out there, and then joined the record label that he was working on. I did A&R, band scouting, put together some records, learned that industry, and saw the tide of Napster. I was there during the beginning of that, and already by 2001, you're seeing the revenues start to erode, and you were seeing it was just harder to get a job and harder to make a buck in that business.
As a consumer, I love the accessibility of all of the music, but it's almost like having all of your books on a Kindle. Like, I miss the physical copy.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't an album guy, but I had tapes. I had 100 bootlegs of the Grateful Dead. I had like hundreds of tapes. I loved tapes, even more than CDs. Yeah.
Some teenagers are bringing that back, man. It's kind of like a youthful Gen Z thing.
Mixtapes, you can't do that.
I know. I was in Newbury Comics, and it was like $17.99 for like Back in Black on cassette, and I actually took a picture of it and sent it to Brian McNelis, and I was like, what are you guys trying to pull?
Bad news and good news.
I think that's what we just talked about right there with the music industry, too, right? There's
bad news that it burned down, but good news, he said that that probably won't be that disruptive to
and also just the bad news about streaming and accessibility.
Good news, you can find all of Lakeshore Records stuff like the Stranger Things soundtrack on Spotify. Bad news, they're going to make like 0.00001 cent per stream. All right, Jason Donut Guy Gonzalez, you wrote a story about this. You've been you used to ink a lot of stuff here at I was going to say FedEx, but FreightWaves.
FreightWaves?
Now I'm going all through my journey of jobs in my life. It's like, this is your life. It's flashing before me, the bright lights.
Yeah, I did, and I'm doing a more again, and it's and I got to cover this Jason Donut guy Gonzalez, and the latest in that journey. We are the guys that we caught up with him on, I believe it was November 8th.
Yeah,
and on episode 124, we got to interview him, and we were covering that story, and I think it led to Craig's idea.
Yeah, well, let's attribute this to Arlen Stark. It really was him, because Arlen's a Minnesota guy, so Arlen had really caught wind of this story, and Arlen was like, hey, do you guys want to have the donut guy on with the truck? I'm thinking of reaching out to him. It's a good story. I know the area, sort of like how I tend to cover more Boston stuff just because I'm from the area. Well, anyways, the good news here was that Jason Donut guy Gonzalez, if you followed our stuff, you heard about him. He just received that freshly minted and wrapped Sprinter van from Daimler that was promised him by FreightWaves CEO Craig Fuller at FreightWaves Live Chicago. But there's a little bit of bad news. He received a cease and desist back in November, right? And as part of that, getting this van on the road, he has to sign some paperwork, he has to jump through some hoops, and he has to get some shelving installed. So his business got almost too big, brought a lot of attention. So good news that your business got attention. Bad news that you just have. It's going to be a little bit tougher now.
No
You
one
got to
said
deal with
it'd be a
regulations.
cakewalk.
No one said that. Yeah,
there are some holes in our story, I guess. So good news.
Where's my fail buzzer?
XPO experienced a slight uptick in brokerage volume in the fourth quarter, about 1% after seeing revenue for its brokerage segment down by 14% year over year for 2019. But the bad news is they achieved this efficiency by automating some of their processes and cutting about 20% of the brokerage team.
Wow. Yeah. We talked about that with Brian, and I always think music's a great parallel for what's happening in our industry, because they were one of the first to get automated. They were one of the first to have revenues really taken away by having a product that used to be physical turned digital, and that was when CDs, which were at their peak in 99.
That's right.
Napster comes along, and it opened up the door for all the file sharing sites, and Napster's almost used as a blanket all term, but peer-to-peer sharing is really what the big problem was. And Spotify kind of remedied that. We were talking before the show about how it's easier to do that than downloading a BitTorrent or anything, because back then you'd have to take it into iTunes, put it on your phone, whether legal or illegal. You had to bring it onto your phone. It was a hassle. Now it's just so easy to have a Spotify account. I even pay for it, $9.99.
Could you imagine? I know I do too. Could you imagine in 1999 investing in CDs because they were up so high? Like that would
like in a record label or something?
What
they're made out of. The CD. AOL could have single-handedly kept that stock going for a long time. Remember those little AOL CD discs? They went everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good news. Here's some good news. You probably can't get the coronavirus from a package of computer parts or an inanimate object that's been sent to you from China. Jeez. I don't know if you were concerned about those, even ones that are shipped overnight, but someone was enough on Reddit that Tom's Hardware reached out. Tom's Hardware addressed the concern after a Reddit thread got a lot of traction proposing that very question. According to the article, even with the amount of uncertainty regarding the coronavirus, there is no reason to hold off on shopping, even if you think you're just getting extra cautious, right? But here's
a good question.
But here's the bad news. So he says, don't worry about it. Then it says, keep in mind that there's more than one type of coronavirus, SARS, MERS, and HCOV, for example, which have shown to be able to live on inanimate surfaces, including metal, glass, and plastic, most of the things you'd be buying from China, for as many as 9 days. So first they said you can do it overnight, but they said, well, here's the thing. You just got to sanitize your goods for 1 minute. But Chad, when you bring home when you order something else, do you open it up, especially an inanimate object, and just start washing it down and sanitizing it?
I mean, they're all inanimate objects, but I noticed that you've broken out the disinfectant wipes.
You can't be too safe. You got to keep this stuff around.
Yeah, you can't be. But I also didn't know you had to wipe it down for a minute.
I know, a minute?
A minute?
I don't even wash my hands for a full minute.
Oh,
even
TMI, man.
You go a full minute washing your hands?
Oh, yeah.
My skin gets too dry.
Well, I've got some other bad news, and I'm gonna go to good news. That New York City is hit UPS with a $23 million in parking fines in 2019. FedEx paid the Big Apple $9.8 million in fines as multiple users compete for that limited curb space. The good news is as eye-popping as the UPS and FedEx fine amounts are, they actually represent declines from 2018 when FedEx paid $14.9 million in parking fines and UPS handed over $33.8 million.
Wow. Do you think they got that down by parking better or by lobbying? I don't know.
They were parking better. I think maybe the laws got a little looser. They're just kind of like, oh, this is the new norm.
I mean, they're getting it because it's a violation, but maybe they should just be able to pay some like blanket waiver. Be like just pay the city $35 million, but then it's like they're doing it anyway though. How do you fix that? Ban cars, right? Just robot delivery bots.
If I had a real good solution, then I'd probably have another job right there, and I'm sure New York City can't solve this problem either right now.
Yeah. All right, here's some good news. Rebecca Black, I don't know if you remember this one. Rebecca Black's viral hit song, Friday, everybody get down on Friday. Today is Friday.
Back seat, front seat.
Well, you want to feel old? It turned 9 this week, so 9? Friday is 9 years old. Viral hit, but here's the bad news. She was bullied mercilessly after releasing this song. This is, to me, I have so much respect for this song and this video. Not only is it catchy and fun, but it is, the viral video. It's the one that a lot of people share. It's one of the first to really, really go mainstream with the public. The one, your grandmother might have got a YouTube link to. It introduced so many people to the world of meme culture.
Why did it go viral?
Because to make fun of it. I mean, it went viral on sites like 4chan and Reddit because people were making fun of it. And if you go over there and you go to YouTube and you look at it, it has 1 million upvotes, but 3 million downvotes, which has a real world effect. And I think a lot of people don't. Internet celebrity is kind of a newer thing, and a lot of people don't know the impact that this has on people. But she received death threats. She was bullied.
Threats?
Yes. She ultimately had to be.
It's a song about partying.
I know, and people said it's so annoying and it's such an earworm that it's stuck in their head and it's driving them crazy. But so she posted on Instagram, though, and she looks beautiful, by the way. She looks lovely. Miss Rebecca Black, she wrote, 9 years ago today, a music video for a song called Friday was uploaded to the internet. Above all things, I just wish I could go back and take my 13-year-old self, who was terribly ashamed of herself and afraid of the world, to my 15-year-old self, who felt like she had nobody to talk to about the depression she faced, to my 17-year-old self, who would get to school only to get food thrown at her and her friends, to my 19-year-old self, who had almost every producer-songwriter tell me they'd never work with me. Hell, to myself a few days ago, who felt disgusting when she looked in the mirror. I'm trying to remind myself more and more that every day is a new opportunity to shift your reality and light your spirit. You are not defined by any one choice or thing. Time heals and nothing is finite. It's a process that's never too late to begin, and so here we go. This might be a weird thing to post, but the honesty feels good if nothing else. Well, God bless you, Rebecca Black. I am glad you put Friday out in the world. I'm sorry that you, I don't know, you faced anything like that, because I think that she's a young girl that was just trying to do something.
Kind of the poster girl of cyberbullying, it sounds like.
I guess so, man. Yeah. Lay off people.
That's
be nice. Valentine's Day.
That's a good story for you to share.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice. That was a good one. I've got a somewhat uplifting one too. The bad news though is 40% of the UK population leave their dog home alone for 7 to 8 hours a day, and 21% believe it is okay to leave their dog home alone for 24 hours or more. Do you ever do that?
Yeah, my dog doesn't like to be kennelized, so we use a walker or a homesteader that stays with my dog. Yeah,
but not home alone.
No, she's home alone.
Oh, but I mean, you said the walker comes over for a little.
Yeah, but sometimes she stays overnight by herself.
Wow.
Yeah, she doesn't. She gets much more anxiety going to a kennel. That's why.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And you can't really bring her to someone's house because she'll attack the door.
Yeah, the door.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is, speaking of Spotify, it has made playlists and a podcast for dogs to listen to in their owner's absence after finding that nearly 74% of UK pet owners play music for their animals. Did you know that? Do you ever play music for your dog?
So I say, when I leave my house, I say, Alexa, play Relax My Dog. And she does.
Wow, you're right on top of this.
Yeah, I don't know if I had to download the skill. It might have been a skill, but if you say Alexa relax, just like if you get the skill for the fastest morning in freight, the FreightWaves Morning Minute, if you put the skill
Nice
FreightWaves
plug.
in there, you can also say to your Alexa, give my news briefs, and then I will greet you every single morning.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're all into the voice technology.
I don't know. I'm torn by it. I don't necessarily like having it in my house, but My cell phone is bugging me. I'm talking into a camera right now. I spend at least an hour a day being recorded. I'm carrying tracking devices with me with my iPad, my computer, my phone, all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the Alexa, sure.
They know where to find you.
I thought the commercial was very smug, though. It was like, what would you have done before technology? It was funny, but also smug.
Huh.
The one during the Super Bowl with Ellen DeGeneres, which was like, where they were like, you had to cool down the house by breaking a window and stuff like that. We did fine before it. Like, I don't know if technology's made me any happier, right?
Oh, I know. There's always, with technology, it always starts off with like grand hopes of a better future, a utopian thing, and then it goes dark, doesn't it?
Although, you know what? Without technology, it would be a lot harder to do shows and stuff like this.
And you know what? Without technology, it would be hard to keep our food cool.
Yeah.
And our houses operating.
And without technology, you couldn't leave comments on FreightWaves.com.
Comment Section Rodeo.
Can you believe that was me saying y'all? I didn't know I could go that high.
Yeah. No, I adjusted the pitch a little bit for you.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so here's Bankrupt Celadon. That's the article. Bankrupt Celadon accuses recovery company of illegally seizing equipment. This is Dave F., and he says, I saw a Celadon trailer rolling down the highway just 3 days ago in the upper Midwest. It was well-marked, clean, and looked to be recently washed, pulled by a red tractor. I had to do a double take as it made no sense. If it had been a sold asset, removing the decals would seem like a prudent thing to do, right? Smart guy.
Yeah.
They didn't even take it off. They were just driving down the road. They didn't care.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is from KTMDRTRDR.
Yeah.
If there ever was an industry that needs to be regulated, it's towing.
Yeah.
Especially the bandits that prey on Class 8 equipment, tows. Oh, wait, I meant recovery.
So in Boston, there's this area called Alston, and it's where a lot of college kids move to. And the tow trucks there are awful. They're like relentless. They will stalk your moving van, and then they will lift it up, and then they'll try to get you to pay money to take it down. So one time, you're a college kid, you do weird things like put beds on cinder blocks instead of like a box spring,
or just let it be on the floor.
Well, I was carrying the cinder block into the apartment. I see that the car get picked up, the van, and I walk over to the guy, and I'm holding a cinder block, and I'm pissed off that he's the car up, and I think he thought I was going to smash him with the cinder block, and he's like, hey man, if you just give me like $100, I'll put it down, which at the time was a lot of money.
Yeah, so did you?
I hate them. I did, yeah, we need to get the van back. I mean, we had to, and I didn't hit him with the cinder block. I didn't intend to. I just happened to be holding it at that moment.
It didn't sound like it did a lot of good, though.
Well, Doug B. writes, imagine that. A crooked towing company in the U.S. Hopefully the equipment gets released.
Yeah. Well, I get Noble One saying the following in his humble opinion. Were they the ones who woke up a truck driver with law enforcement forcing the truck driver to remove all his belongings and vacate the truck right in the middle of the yard?
Yeah. I mean, he's actually referencing a call that was on SiriusXM's Roadog Tracking.
Wow.
Yeah.
He follows it all. He
really does. Super fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listening right now.
I can't tell if he likes us or hates us, though. Like, does he hate listen to us and watch us or not? There's this guy like
Does
Tom.
he hate watch?
There's this guy Tom McCullen, who is definitely a sock account, and I'm not going to name who it is, but I have some suspicions. But it's definitely a sock account. They always like to leave like mean comments in the on some of our videos. I'll sniff you out. I'm looking for you, Tom. All right, here's Larry. Larry, he is from the article Arrive Fresh, targeted a reefer business rolled out by Arrive Logistics. Larry writes, hey-o, this is way too funny. This joker just explained what a reefer carrier like myself and many others do already. This joker isn't going to haul any differently than the next man, and his underpaid drivers are going to wait for appointments, and on the docks like the rest of us, there's no difference, Chad.
And Truth Hurts writes, they're just another dumbass trucking company.
Wow. All right. Well, C.H. Robinson denies claims of deceptive business practice in growers' lawsuit. This is a big one, back and forth between the growers who were, suing C.H. Robinson for over $1 billion, saying they were taking some kickbacks or something. Yeah. Well, here's the Gear Jammer 25/8. Pulled many Robinson fresh loads in my day. They figure they can run you dry, steal your data on top of it, and someone else will fill in once you leave. Let me tell you, partner, Business is tough and you value talent if you want to make it. We are all in it together. No trucking without a good back office.
And Ty Moore says, why is C.H. Robinson filing a counterclaim? If these growers had not called them on their bull spit, they would have said no things and kept
No things.
Yeah, well, nothings, I think, but it was
sweet nothings?
No things and kept business as usual. In some cases, they backcharged us, the carriers, for produce.
Well, they're filing, I mean, like, you can't file a counterclaim without a claim, right?
Right, yeah.
So what is he, like, how are you supposed to, that's like putting the counterclaim before the horse. How are you supposed to file a counterclaim if you don't have a claim against you?
Good questions. Let's ask that to Ty Moore. Just write us right here.
Right here, yeah. See
know.
Prevost at FreightWaves.com or follow him at Chad Prevost. You can follow me at Timothy Dooner. That's DOONER. Look me up on LinkedIn. We'd love to connect over there. Thank you all for tuning in today, watching the show. FreightWaves Radio will be this weekend, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Roadog Tracking Channel 146. I'll be joined by Michelle Halkerson, who bought her own company. She was on FreightWaves Insiders. FreightWaves Insiders is on FreightWaves TV. Download the app or subscribe to FreightWaves Insiders on your favorite podcast player of choice, or subscribe to FreightCast. Get every single FreightWaves podcast, including Kevin Hill's Great Quarter Guys, including Put That Coffee Down, shows like On the Spot, Fuller Speed Ahead. That one's with Craig Fuller.
And we will have a recorded video of this very session if you want to share it with your friends and family. Comes out Saturday morning. Also, the Freight Market Pulse, the weekend wrap.
Yeah.
If you haven't caught all of the incredible material that we're constantly putting out, and maybe you didn't see it something in the newsletter, I've got a little wrap for you. Comes out Sunday morning. Good little Sunday morning wrap. 10 articles this week.
Shout out to Connor, the intern, who's walking by right now. Connor's been doing a lot of grunt work. We've been moving some desks around down
And
here
shout
today.
out John Bowes doing a lot of grunt work with one arm.
And shout out to everybody who tuned in today to the show. I know it's Valentine's Day. You're probably thinking about what to get a loved one. Well, nothing goes better than the gift of truck. And when I say truck, I mean what the truck. So share this with your wife. Share this with your honey.
Yeah,
share this with that girl on the back of your
Valentine's
motorcycle. But do it when you stop so you don't get in an accident like Bobby out there.
That's
allegedly, right?
Stay warm out
Bro,
there.
what do you think? What's the longest you ever spent at a job? Or the shortest, I mean?
Shortest
You ever spent
2
at a job?
weeks at Taco Bell.
Oh, I was with one place, and I would, like, when they say culture fit, like, it literally wasn't. They had a pig on a table, but it wasn't like a luau pig, it was like a baby pig.
That's a good ending.